Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Best Ever You Show. This is season 16. I don't even know what episode we're on. It's all good, but we've been podcasting forever now. And with me is Dr. Rachel Goldman. I like to hold up your book first.
Yeah,
Welcome. How are you? Look at this
I'm
beautiful
good.
book.
I'm good. How are you? And first, just thank you so much for having me. I'll just say it, even though you will probably say it for everybody listening. You and I met in New York City just recently for the first time. So that was just such a lovely experience to be able to see you in person and to finally connect. So thank you.
I'm going to go real on that moment for a minute. It was like 90 degrees in New York, and I'm almost 60 years old. And what I love more than anything about meeting you and that event too was the women that were in that room, because that heat, real life here, set off hot flashes for me, and they didn't stop the whole time I was meeting you. I felt like I was 120 degrees,
Oh,
and it just didn't stop. And I was so grateful to be in a room of, I don't know, like maybe 30 and 40-year-olds who were like, "It's okay. We've got you. It's okay. We've got."
yeah.
It was so cute. It was
Well, I
so
think what nobody really said out loud that I will say right now is that most people in that room probably were experiencing something similar and different. So,
yeah.
like, I'm in perimenopause right now, and I was probably having some of those hot flashes as well.
Yeah.
So I think, just being real about it, and which is what I love about some of the changes that have been happening in society lately, is
Yeah.
that we are more openly talking about struggles and things that we are all collectively kind of going through in
So
one way or
But
another.
but you know how it is when you're meeting somebody for the first time, you want everything to be perfect and you show up with hot flashes, and I'm like, "Oh, no." And
Well,
I love the acceptance of just like you
yeah,
showed up and that's what mattered.
exactly.
And
Well, I
I
was
hope.
just gonna say, it was me. I'm a psychologist. I'm a mom. I'm in perimenopause. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, same thing. So, and I think it's a really good lesson, and it taught me again, showing up is half the battle. Even when you're scared or anxiety or whatever it is, remember there's people there feeling the same way, and they'll give you a big hug and love on you. And it was a really nice moment. So thank you for that. And out of it, I got not one but two books. One we're going to give away to somebody listening to the show. It's also signed. And then, so we'll do that, and I'll put it in the show notes and everything. But anyway, welcome to the
Amazing.
Best Ever You Show. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being here. And it's like welcome to the Eras tour. I love Taylor Swift. we
Yes.
we met. We're going to give them a shout out really quick too. We met at the Little Words Project, and tell me about them a little bit. That was my first encounter with them, and it
Oh my
all kind of
gosh.
clicked in that moment.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
bracelets, I get it.
Yes, so I have a few of them on myself. So Little Words Project is a company that makes these great bracelets that have different words and sayings and mantras. And I connected with them first. I guess I was first introduced to them years ago, just kind of seeing them all over social media, seeing people wearing their bracelets. And then I went to an event at one of their stores and had this idea since with the book coming out, and I always say
Yeah.
life happens, that maybe we could do some kind of collab. And they were so lovely and nice and just like jumped on the opportunity,
Yeah.
which is a lesson that I have learned that if you don't ask, the answer is no.
Yeah.
And I was like, why not ask? You never know. And not only were they like super excited and said yes, but they actually donated bracelets to send with my some of my PR boxes when the book came out. And then they donated some bracelets for some other things. And then we did this collab. They actually asked me for May, which was Mental Health Awareness Month. They asked me to be a part of their mental health collective, which was a group of 6 women who are either mental health advocates and or mental health professionals, to create a word or words for a bracelet to work with them and choose a nonprofit where a portion of those proceeds of that bracelet in particular would go back. So I'm a champion of the Mental Health Coalition, They were my nonprofit that I chose. We created a bracelet. I'll take it off real quick so everybody can see it. Called Left Says Life Happens, and I
Yep.
love stars, so it has a star on it. And that was available, sadly, not on their website anymore at the moment. Hopefully, maybe again soon, but it was a special thing for May. And really, the idea of these bracelets and the Life Happens one in particular is that we all have moments throughout our day that can feel really heavy and can feel like, how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to get through this? And mantras, affirmations, things like that, post-it notes, bracelets, art can be your reminder that you just kind of look down and you're like, I got this. And for me, what the life happens is like, yeah, life is happening. This is tough. And we can get through it, and we have the tools, hopefully, and my book hopefully is will help people get those tools, but to be able to do it. So just as a little reminder that you can carry with you whatever words you need at the time. Hopefully the life happens one resonates with people. But I have one that also says mama. I have one that says you got this. Like whatever work, resonates with you. They have so many that you can choose from to choose one that resonates with you.
Yeah, they're beautiful, and their backstory was bullying, which is a near and dear
That's right. Yeah.
to my background as well. So it was really nice. Now, with all of the reminders and with the mantras and the affirmations and so forth, let's go all parenting for a second here, and just from mom's standpoint, we're all living for the first time, right? And it's hard to be perfect for our children and so forth. How do you teach them that you're learning also along the way, but also, still be a good influence and a good example and so forth? People
Yeah.
worry about all that time. They think being a mom or a dad means you have to be perfect and present this perfect thing and never have a flub. And in reality, we goof.
Yeah, and I love that question because you're right. I think so many people are so in their heads consumed with and concerned with showing up the right way, right? Or showing up the perfect way. And for everybody listening, I'm just going to put it out there. There is no perfect. And there's actually also no right way, or rather, the way I like to say it is the right way is your way. So, like you and your family do things one way that is right for you and your family, and that may or may not be right for somebody else. And I do think becoming a parent has given me such a new outlook on life, on psychology, on skills and tools. So I have two young children. One is 7 and one is actually going to be 3 this week. I can't believe it. I know. Um, and something that I do encourage other parents to do is to be vulnerable. I think we can set this perfect fairy tale up for our children that looks like life is perfect. You should be happy. You're always doing it right. Or you can be realistic, not age appropriately, but you
Yeah,
can be realistic and vulnerable. And I often say to my son in particular, who's 7, not the younger one, I often say, like, mommy got it wrong, or mommy needs a minute, or I'm really overwhelmed right now, let's take a breath together, and I think that's so important because I'm not perfect. No, there is not. As much as there's a million parenting books out there, I'm sorry, there is not one parenting book that tells you how to be a parent for your children, right? It
yeah,
doesn't exist.
no,
And that's the greatest thing about books though, and learning and podcasts and things. You take what resonates, you take what works, you integrate it, you try it. If it doesn't work, you put it aside and you try a new one, right?
yeah,
We don't know because there is no one way. There's not one thing that fits everybody. So I share with my family and my children, I'm learning also. We're learning along the way. Like, yes, I have more experience than the 7-year-old. So I hopefully know a little bit more,
I
hopefully.
say.
Right, hopefully. Um, but I'm still learning, and me being vulnerable and sharing that. Even last night, my son was having a tantrum about something. And I literally pulled out, like, do you think mommy knows everything she's doing the first time? I was like, it takes practice. I was also scared or nervous or I didn't want to do it. And I still showed up. And then
Yeah,
you learn. And like, I literally said that to him last night. And that's very different than painting a picture of, oh, yeah, mommy's got this perfectly. I never was scared. I never was afraid. I was never overwhelmed. No, that is not true. And if we paint that picture, we're actually setting them up for failure,
Yeah,
right? Because then the one time that they get scared or overwhelmed and they don't know how to do something, they're going to be like, "What's wrong with me? Mommy never does that." But now my kids know, "Oh, mommy needs to take a breather sometimes. Oh, mommy needs to take a walk when she gets overwhelmed. Oh, maybe this is normal. This is okay." And we're validating that.
I love it. Flaws are good. Um, yeah,
Yes.
mine are 25, 27, 29, and 31
Oh
now.
my God. I
Yeah,
can't
it's
imagine.
I'd kill for 7 and 3. It's just so cute. So,
It
I was
is.
at a book signing the other day and a little maybe 2 or 3-year-old went, "Up, up with me," and I'm like I looked at the parents, I'm like, "Is this okay?" Because, oh my gosh, I'm getting my kid fix, and they are so adorable.
It's
And they just
so
sat and hugged,
cute.
I read one of my children's books, and oh my god, yeah, so
That's
cute.
so
So
sweet.
cherish every moment because wow, it's like that, and
It
they're
is.
they're so much older.
Yeah,
Um, but, I loved when we were raising our kids, and you still kind of are no matter what age
always.
they are because 'cause they're
Always.
all, they're 25 once. We did a lot of gratitude and a lot of kindness, and that really overshadowed everything. It's like, okay,
Oh, I love
you can
that.
be a lot of things in the world, but when you encounter other humans, be kind. And you can be a lot of things in the world, but be grateful. Even if your tire's flat or you got an F or whatever it is, just be grateful.
So
And
true.
so that was an interesting. I'm seeing how it pans out now. So
Yeah.
far it's working pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's funny. So one of the things that I love most about you is I see pictures of you with your arms around Oprah, and I see pictures of you with your arms around Mel Robbins, and you've done all this stuff, and it's amazing and wonderful. The thing I love most about you, though, is you're accessible and real. That kind of stuff hasn't gotten to your head to the point where you're like, I'm so cool and you can't talk to me, and kind of thing. And you are them. Like you're them, you're that to me. So
Mm.
I really appreciated
You're
that,
gonna
you
make me
having that
cry.
moment with me. Yeah, it was so special. You make me cry. So but I love and we have the same PR firm in the background for a little while of our books. And I was like, I need to know her. She's real deal, real, real. Like no fakey, like, oh, I'm going to be famous and I wrote a book to be famous and all this stuff. I think you wrote a book to really encounter each human being one by one and help people, no matter who you're hugging. Is that
Yeah.
about right? Or have I got that super skewed
Yeah.
in my head?
No. No, it's funny you say that and you ask because so many people have asked me actually, like, so I mean, and I'll give kind of all the backstories and whatnot and like some inside info because I keep being like, should I share this on social media? Because I haven't yet. And it's not that I'm hiding it. It's just it hasn't,
You're
like it's
busy.
like
Yeah.
right. But so many people just assume that all of these opportunities that I'm getting are because I wrote a book.
Oh, no.
And it's that's not true.
Yeah.
So actually, I started doing media stuff related to sharing my messages and getting information across years ago. Actually,
Yeah.
it was when I was still at the hospital, and I left the hospital in 2016. That's actually partly why I left my hospital job, was because I was getting all these great opportunities, and I remember thinking, I can see one patient at a time behind a closed door, which I love. I still do my clinical work and love it, or I could start blasting these messages across in all these other places and platforms and hopefully reach more people.
Yeah.
And that's why I started to do what I'm doing. And that's actually why I wrote the book, because I've had a wait list for years in my clinical practice.
Yeah.
And I want to get these messages across. And literally, like, I'm like, "Look, now I have it all in a book. Like, it is not a replacement for therapy or anything like that, but I have it in a book and I want these messages to get across."
Yeah.
So when Oprah's team reaches out to me, when Mel Robbins' team reached out to me, it wasn't for the book. I actually didn't even have a book when I did anything with Oprah. And when Mel Robbins' team reached out to me, they actually didn't know about my book. They wanted me to record like 6 months before I even did. And I said to them, like, yes, I will come. Like, you don't say no. I'm like, yes, I will come. But you should know I have a book coming out. Is this the right time? Should we put it on hold? So, most of my speaking engagements and these opportunities have come to me because they want me to share the area of, my messages, my expertise. And now it's just like, oh yeah, and I have a book also.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't write a book to become famous. I didn't write a book to have my name on a book, so to say. It literally was, I have so many messages that I want to share that I know work. Like I've worked with thousands of patients. Like literally when I worked at the hospital, I stopped counting. At one point I counted how many patients I saw and it was like well over 5,000.
Wow,
And I mean it was a lot.
it's
So
amazing.
I know that the things that I'm talking about and that I'm doing work. And I'm like, why not put that in a book? Right?
Yeah.
Not why not share that message? So that's why I wrote a book. It's the same reason as I was doing a big speaking engagement the other day, and people asked me about being on social media and creating content. And I said, my content creation is not my job. My job is doing clinical work. And I love to be able to share my messages on larger platforms because why not? Right?
Yeah.
Like, why not? It's almost like, why gatekeep that? If I know something works that I've worked with my clients, I want the world to know that, right? And it's evidence based and it's research backed. So that's why I wrote a book. Um, and I'm just like you. I mean, to me, I'm not like Oprah Winfrey. I'm not like Mel Robbins. They're all incredible, inspiring people, just like you. And I'm Rachel, who happens to be a psychologist, who just happens to write a book, who
Yeah.
has 2 children living in New York City.
Yeah.
like like
And
that's it.
it's amazing. Yeah, and I completely understand, yeah. It's kind of similar to what I did too. I started out, a little bit younger in, starting Best Ever You, and then just went all social media on it. And then the audience was clamoring for a book, so it was interesting. It was like that. I'm like, "Oh, I need to write a book, and what am I gonna write about?" And I had to think a lot about it, and, what made you write this particular topic and book, and tell us, if you can, in that answer a little bit about the weight loss side of you as well, because I know on Best Ever You a massive part of our audience is always looking to be healthier. So
Yeah.
this is, see it, everybody, when life happens, this is groundbreaking. It really is. It will shift your entire world. So tell us about it a little bit, and how we can, and I think people know what like what you say, people, I don't know what page it's on, but you say, we know what people, we all know what we should do, but it's
Actually do
how.
it. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because this book, the one this book that you're
Yeah.
talking about,
Beautiful.
has always been inside of me. I think for years I had this thought that if I ever write a book, I'm going to make CBT more accessible. I want to give people the tools to help them navigate life a little easier.
Yeah.
And at the time that I always thought I had that book in me, I didn't know that I was also going to become an expert in body image and the treatment of obesity and things like that. Like it was kind of like that's been my journey academically, research, but I've always been doing CBT and it overlapped so much because all of the patients that I would see in the hospital coming to me for bariatric surgery or for weight management,
Yeah.
most of the time, I could identify some stressor that happened in their life that threw the routine out the window. And
Yeah.
that's what kind of goes back to this when life happens. I used to say in my office years ago, life happens. And I remember one of my clients at the time when I worked at the hospital actually made me a shirt. I wish I could find it that said life happens. And it was like a name that I had in my head since, like, if I ever write a book, this is what it's going to be about.
Yeah.
Kind of accepting that stress happens, life happens, but it doesn't have to feel so hard. So, so yes, my academic research, clinical practice is a lot of body image, weight management, things like that. But it
Cool.
all comes back to our mindset and how we manage stress.
Question for you right
Yeah,
there.
go for it.
Did you have a moment where you needed this information in your own life? Or is it just something that you've always been interested in? Or was somebody around you needing it? Or is it just how you found your way in this,
In
in
which
that?
aspect?
Academically, like, why did you pick this path? Was it something you needed, somebody else needed, or just a need that you saw?
Yeah, so most people, well, not a most, I would say a lot of people assume, and there are a large portion of people that do go into this field because they experience something and or they
Yeah,
experience it with family members, things like that. That didn't really happen to me. It's actually something I observed.
got it.
So taking everybody back now, let me think how many years. Let's go to 1999 for a minute.
Yeah.
I grew up dancing, and I always knew I was not going to be a dancer. I wanted to incorporate my hobby somehow, but I was not going to be a dancer. So, freshman year of college, I went to a predominantly dance school for something called dance science, which is physical therapy for dancers in essence. I like
Cool.
double majored in like medicine, medical, and dance. So, dance science. But I grew up in a very small town in Maryland and was actually never exposed to or never had any pressure to be a certain size, shape, weight, was never exposed to any of diet culture actually. Like to this day, I'm like how was I not exposed to this? Like I'm so grateful that I wasn't. But then I went off to college my freshman year at a school that was predominantly women and many were
Oh,
dancers.
that
Like
that was interesting.
yes, like we like walked around in our dance leotard with like shorts over. Like literally we had so many dance classes, pre-med classes, all of this. And I remember calling my mom and being like, they just served us lettuce and diet Sprite and I'm hungry. And then I started observing what was going on around me and I quickly realized that there is a world that I was not exposed to growing up of the body image concerns and the pressures. And very quickly, I realized I wanted to go into psychology to
Oh,
study disordered eating and eating disorders. So I didn't experience it, as in, I didn't go through it, but I observed it and experienced it in that sense. So I changed schools, went to a larger school that had a larger psychology department,
with
and I
with men
found
involved too, maybe, right?
what's that? Yes. Well, there were guys, there were men there too. Actually,
Yeah.
some of my closest friends were men there.
Oh, okay.
But there were a few of them.
Yeah.
Um, transferred schools and actually found researchers studying disordered eating and then also researchers studying stress management because I was fascinated by the mind body connection and what was happening when, say, people don't eat enough. What happens to the brain? What happens to their thoughts? So it all started literally. So I guess I transferred, that must have been in 1999 ish, 2000,
Yeah.
probably 99. And it all started then. And looking back, like, wow, I've been on this journey really since 1999
Amazing.
of somehow knowing, but not knowing what I wanted to do with my life because I literally thought I was creating a field of study called health psychology. I remember I found a researcher in the health education department and I found a researcher in the psychology department. And I was like, I'm fascinated by the mind body connection and nutrition and psychology, and I'm going to do something together with them. Later, I knew that this field already existed. Um, so then what happened was I kind of shifted over time to I wanted to help, like I was learning more about nutrition. I was taking nutrition classes
Mhm.
and I realized I wanted to help the average person because what I realized was I can help individuals that really struggle with eating disorders, which is a smaller, well, the number then was much smaller than it is
Yeah.
today. Or I can help the average person that just might want to lose a few pounds, might want to lose a lot of pounds, and just wants to become healthier and understand the mind body connection and how our thoughts shape so much.
Yeah.
So that was a longer story than you probably had asked
No, it's
for.
it's amazing. I just wanna make sure I have a comment, but I wanna make sure you know that you're coming back on again because 'cause we're gonna need
Yes,
more
yes.
time.
Let's
Okay,
do it.
because 'cause I'm about to open a can of worms. So
Yes.
I'm a former gymnast, competitive gymnast and dancer.
Oh, I think you mentioned
Yeah,
that.
and also I have life-threatening food allergies, so I'm like a whammy all around, and our audience has there's audience members listening who, are food allergies and, all this stuff. But anyway, I just had a discussion with my sister who's 15 years younger than I am about removing her daughter from dance because it's a body image sport.
Pleasure.
Yep, I'd never heard that before. I'm like, "Oh," but now when you just said that, and I saw it in your book, of course, too, and, when she was talking, it all went doo 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 tumbling back, and I'm like, "Oh, that's what that was back then." Because I remember thinking the whole time I was a competitive cheerleader and gymnast that my thighs were bigger than everybody else's. And my idol was Mary Lou Retton, a power tumbler and all this stuff, and I remember lifting weights and doing all just everything, but it landed me with body image issues. And
Right.
it's like, "Oh, there it is." The second you developed or did anything, you had body image issues all the time, and I remember having one moment where I was crying in the car with my mom going, "I don't think I wanna do gymnastics anymore because 'cause I'm heavier than everybody there. My body is I'm built like a Mack truck, and they're all waif thin." And it was just a really interesting conversation, so
Yeah.
but, yeah, we should have more conversations like that
Yeah.
with women because we are all different, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I think since I was a dancer, it really, I remember I guess it was in college, I had to do a research paper on, I forget what the assignment was,
Yeah.
but I actually chose to do it on women in sports.
Huh.
I remember doing research on body image concerns, disordered eating, eating disorders, gymnasts, dancers, were kind of the main thing
Yeah.
that I looked at. And it's interesting. And I actually, thinking back, it really all ties together because in graduate school, I did an elective internship in sports psychology, and was working with athletes, not women in particular, but like, I worked with the baseball team, the bowling team, the
Yeah.
volleyball team with all individuals. But it really, there's so much overlap here. And today, fast forward to today, present time, so many people struggle with their body image, which is why this book that I wrote is not all about body image that
Nope.
everybody assumed it would be, but I did put a chapter in because it was a later thought, but it wasn't like the book is done and now I'm going to add it. It was the way my brain works. I did my outline, very detailed outline, and as I'm looking at my outline, I was like, wait a minute, something's missing here. And I realized as I was writing it that it would be a disservice to myself and the reader to not include something with body image, not because it's my other area of expertise, but because the book is about shifting your mindset and seeing the world differently. But if we're not looking at ourselves differently, that's going to be really hard to actually get
Yeah.
to. So I felt like it was such an important integral chapter to add
I honed in on it. I'm like, "Oh, there it is. That's what I needed to hear." And I think that's the beauty of the book too is because you can hone in on what you need from it and so
when you
forth.
need it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so if people are feeling stuck right now, which so many of us are in whatever area of life it is, what's the main point that, in a couple minutes here, because we want to make sure that you skedaddle on over to your activities that you've got with your son in a timely way. What would you like your viewer or listener to know?
Yeah. So I guess a few key things I want people to know is that first, there's nothing wrong with you. Many times individuals feel stuck, and it doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean that something failed. It could mean that what you were doing before was working and now it is no longer working. That could be a fact.
Yeah,
But that requires a mindset shift because that's also where people tend to get stuck. They're like, but it used to work. Why doesn't it work now? And you keep trying to do the same thing and same thing and same thing. But now maybe you have kids. Now maybe your body is changing. Now maybe you're in perimenopause or went through it. And we have to be able to accept that maybe we have to look at it differently, right? Through a new lens.
yeah,
And that goes back to our thoughts. Our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are linked. Oftentimes, it is our thoughts that are keeping us stuck exactly where we are. And going back full circle to what you said at the very beginning, we often know what we should be doing, but it's hard to do it because we are human and our brains like familiarity and comfort. And it goes back to what we've done before because that's what it likes and that's what it knows. That's what's comfortable.
yeah,
If we think about kids for a minute, it is scary to try something new. We've been doing things a certain way for X amount of years. Of course, it is scary to try something new, but we don't have to do it all at once. And that's what people get wrong. If it's not working, it doesn't mean you have to overhaul your whole life. It means I need to focus on what is happening right here, right now, present moment, and what is one step, one teeny baby step I can take forward.
yeah,
I could take to help me move forward.
yeah,
And then that step actually creates momentum. It's like, well, I did it. And most likely you will see some change. You will see a tweak because that's what I saw in my patients when I worked at the hospital that made me write this book. I realized it was the teeny little things I was recommending. They would come back and be like, I don't feel like I changed anything, but something changed. And that's the aha moment that
yeah,
you take the teeny step, it creates momentum. It gives you this feedback loop of, well, I can do this. I have confidence. I can keep going. Now, what can I do? And then we keep going and and then we move forward. We are no longer stuck. But
Yeah.
it takes acknowledgement that whatever I'm doing is no longer working for me, the acknowledgement that I don't need to overhaul my whole life, and what is the one step I can do today, not tomorrow, not Monday, not next year, today.
Yeah. But I think one of the things that I like most about the book too, you just mentioned the word is confidence. It um it's got a confidence build to it that is really interesting. I've never seen a book really do that. Can you maybe put that into words for what you feel when you read it? Uh, it's a powerful book because you can feel while you're reading it, and sometimes you're just reading stuff and you're like, "Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah." This one, evokes a feeling, and it's a feeling
Yeah,
of, "If I do this and I read this, I'm gonna be more confident," which I don't know of a single human being who doesn't need that. We all
right, right.
we all forget our worth and value a
We
lot.
do, and we
Yeah.
all question ourselves,
Oh,
right?
endlessly.
But right, but I think again, this book was written with evidence-based information,
Yeah,
right? Like not only do I know it works because of the clinical practice and the thousands of patients that I've seen, but CBT is research-backed, evidence-based. We know it works. And what I'm doing is just taking CBT and making it more accessible.
yeah,
I'm making it simple. And actually, I think one person said to me, actually, another CBT expert, so it was like such a compliment coming from her. She was like, "You made CBT fun." Like,
yeah,
like I'm
yeah,
making it simple and fun and relatable in a way that if I tell you to do something, nobody's going to do anything unless you understand the why. So I'm telling you the why, and I'm telling you what you might feel after. And if you can just trust me and trust yourself to try, you're going to feel it.
yeah,
So I don't know
100%.
exactly what you're going to feel, but I've worked with enough patients to know that pieces of this work. Now, I say pieces because CBT works, but nothing is one blanket statement and it's going to work for you. We are all unique individuals. And actually, I was working on a presentation yesterday that I'm doing, and it was a reminder because I'm speaking to healthcare professionals in this presentation. And something I said to them was there is so much human variability that if we don't meet the patient where they are, it's not going to work.
Oh,
So,
amen, right?
right? So
Like
so this book is taking that into account. I am meeting you, the reader, where you are today without knowing you, but having an idea because I know who my audience is,
yeah,
having an idea of where you are. I'm meeting you there. And I'm telling you, and actually the beginning of the book, I have an imagery visualization exercise that I help you see that if you work through this book, what is possible.
yep,
And I think
100%.
and I chose to start the book with that. And my first chapter is called Start Where You Are. I can't start with where you wish you were 20 years from now or where you were 5 years ago. We gotta start with right here, right now. And I think just that acceptance is like, "Oh, okay, I could do that." Right?
Yep,
Let me put aside the noise. Let me put aside the comparisons and let me start with where I am today. Automatically gives us this little boost of I might be able to do this. And
yeah,
that mindset is very different than I can't do this. I don't know, I can never do this.
yeah. Well, I've been using the book now since I met you, and, I go by I'm, yeah, a trained gymnast and dancer, so I go by weight still, but I've lost some inches, and I've lost about 12 pounds now,
Oh my
and they
gosh.
weren't moving before because of menopause, and I could eat lettuce and water and carrots and whatever and
And be
run
hungry.
10 miles and and just be miserable and have the weights that go forward even, it's like, what in the world? So, meeting me in that moment and for everybody my age, you can be incredibly cruel to yourself. It was one of the questions that somebody asked me to ask you, and then I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna ask that for myself too," because how do we stop just being so darn nasty to ourselves? Because we're listening, and when we get stuck and when we're up there on the scale, and then we look in the mirror and we're like, "Oh my god, I've gained 25 pounds with this menopause stuff."
It's
Then
hard.
comes right at you,
Right.
and you're so nasty to yourself.
Right.
How do we not do that?
Yeah.
I know read the book, but
Now, well, see, before I answer that, I'm going to
yeah,
remind people that our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are linked.
yeah,
So if you have a thought, it's going to impact how you feel. and it's going to influence your behaviors and your actions, and it becomes a cycle or a loop. It could go in a positive direction or a negative direction, right? So that I want to start with that. And then the other thing I want to say is the easy answer, the quick answer, because,
Yeah.
like,
Time. Yeah.
yes, read the book. But the quick answer is the hack that I say, the quickest way to end it is to ask yourself, would I say this to a loved one?
Yeah.
Would I
And
say this to my
no.
best friend?
No.
Right. We wouldn't. So then we say, okay, why do I think it's going to work on me?
Yeah.
Right? Because we wouldn't say that to anybody else. We are our harshest critics.
Oh,
But when we speak so negatively to ourselves, it just makes it worse.
yeah.
So, again, this is in the book, but
Yeah.
what I don't want you to do is do the complete opposite, though. I don't want you to be fake with yourself because that also doesn't work.
Nope.
So, find the middle ground of what makes sense to you. I call it the neutral space. Find the neutral, more balanced, more grounded words. So, maybe it's not, I know I could do this. And maybe it's not, I can never do this, but
Yeah.
it's, I'm doing the best that I can. Or I'm trying and then I don't know what's going to happen. Right. So, find that middle ground and be open to the possibility that we just don't know, as opposed to jumping to conclusions, cognitive distortion. There's a whole list of them in the book. I'm so fat.
Oh,
Labeling, cognitive distortion, it's in the book. This is never going to work. Cognitive distortion, all or nothing thinking. So, all of these are unhelpful thoughts, which are cognitive distortions, what we call it in psychology.
yeah.
Why are they unhelpful? Because they don't make us feel good. And they are cognitive distortions because they are automatic tendencies and patterns and ways of thinking that we have been doing for way too long that are now so automatic and ingrained that it feels so natural. But the greatest thing about our brain and learning is that things are learned, they can be unlearned, and we can learn new things.
Yeah.
So there's a whole list of those in the book. There's nothing wrong with you if you have any of those thought patterns. We all do, me included.
Yeah.
The key is to identify them and then learn ways to either sit with it, acknowledge that a thought is just a thought, or learn ways to tweak the thought in a better way to work for you and not against
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. All right. Where can people find you in social media? And will you please come back again? And we'll pick a different topic or whatever you want to do because it's super fun and so helpful. These 30 minutes, they could change some, well, 39 minutes, sorry. They could, they could really change somebody's life listening. So it's just so important, one by
Thank
one.
you.
So where do you want people to find you? The book's available wherever. Um,
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate all of that. And first, yes, I would love to join you again. That's like a yes, absolutely. Let's make it happen. And people could find me on most social media platforms as Dr. Rachel NYC. My book is available probably everywhere at this point. Whenlifehappensbook.com also has the different links. And I always say the book is not therapy, podcasts are not therapy, social media is not therapy, but I love hearing from people.
Yeah.
So feel free to message me, email me. I could point you in the right direction with resources, recommendations, referrals, whatever it is. I love to connect with people. That's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
And just that's why I loved connecting with you and seeing you and following up here as well. So thank you
Thank
also.
you. So we rank books, or I do anyway, on their huggability factor. And so this one gets a solid hug. Thank you for writing
Oh,
this book. It's beautiful. We love it. We love you. And we can't wait to have you come back again. So thank
thank
you.
you
And
so
good luck.
much.
Keep going. You're so much fun.
Thank you. And I feel that hug. So thank you. I
Thank
really do
you.
feel it. And I'm hugging you right back. I love
Thank
hugs.
you. Yeah, this is great. And this is a hug to you too. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you. And remember, best ever you, our guests, we are grassroots. So it's so important when you get on here and listen that you support our authors and follow them in social media and follow us and just all that good stuff. You guys know. Anyway, love you all. Take care, everybody. Bye, Dr. Rachel. Thank you.
Thank you so much.